Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question. Hey Jason, why does Rich Piana do feeder workouts? If his muscle protein synthesis is elevated all week long from drugs, like why does it actually matter? What's he doing? So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit. And for those who wonder why I wear the +5 hat of weaponsmithing, it's because it makes me look like a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus. Bonus points for anyone who knows the movie reference, and extra bonus points for anyone who knows the next line. Post it below if you know it. Now, asking that is kind of like asking, why does George Farah and Kai Green care about growth hormone production post-workout when Kai Green and most of George's clients inject $2,000 a month worth of the drug? That's 20 times higher than what the body can actually produce on its own. Why do they even care? Well, because it sounds good. That's why, because it sounds like something that really matters. It sounds like something they should care about it, even though they personally, it doesn't matter. Maybe there is something to it for other people. Now, in that case of the growth hormone, not so much. But the point is, it might be, even though it's worthless to them. And here's the thing I would say with Rich Piana. You know what? Maybe not the way Rich is doing it, but the concept of feeder workouts in its basic, purest sense isn't that bad of an idea, to be honest. Now, would it do anything for Rich Piana? No, fuck no, of course not. Rich is on so many drugs that his muscle protein synthesis uptime is elevated all the time. Feeder workouts are probably not going to add a single gram of muscle to his body, because his drugs handle what those sort of workouts would generally do for muscle mass. Now, not necessarily for strength purposes, for technique on big exercises, but the way he's doing them probably wouldn't. But here's the thing, you guys got to remember, Rich Piana, he is probably one of the more interesting characters in YouTube fitness. Let's be honest, Rich is over the top. That's his shtick. That's what Rich does. He is over the top, hardcore with everything that he does, to the point where it's actually comical. But that's what he does. Rich is more of an entertainer than he is an educator. Occasionally he does put out some good information. I disagree with a lot of it, but he does put out some good stuff. All right. But Rich is there to entertain people. All right. He's there to entertain people by being over the top, not necessarily to be an educator, to be an amazing strength and conditioning coach. He's not there to help you be the greatest athlete of all time. He's there to entertain people who work out. That's what he does. And he does do that. He is entertaining. I mean, good fucking morning, goddammit, right, babe? Real fucking food, goddammit. I mean, he's entertaining. The guy's funny. That's his shtick. But everything that he does is over the top. And that includes, hey, let's do an 8-hour arm workout. Do you guys really think that an 8-hour arm workout, that he really believes that puts muscle on people? Fuck no, he doesn't. But it's over the top, and Rich likes selling over the top. Do you guys really think doing ultra lightweight 100, 200 rep feeder workouts are going to do anything for muscle growth? Fuck no. But it's over the top, and that's what Rich Piana is. He's an over the top kind of guy. That's what he does. That's his thing. That's what's made him famous. And since it's made him famous and it's making him money, why would he stop doing it? I don't blame him. I really don't blame the guy. It's successful. It works. But the idea of feeder workouts, they're not a terrible idea implemented correctly. It's not a bad idea at all. Why are they not a bad idea? All right. Most of you know, who've done basic research on this, muscle protein synthesis. That's, again, net amount of muscle protein that you're turning over in a muscle. When muscle protein synthesis exceeds muscle protein degradation, a muscle grows, right? Because every cell in your body is shrinking and growing at the same time, all the time. We're dynamic living organisms, all right? Trying to seek a state of homeostasis. But when muscle protein synthesis is elevated, you gain muscle, you grow. Now, when it's degraded, you lose muscle, but actually training actually degrades it, and it causes a little drop, and then you spike it afterwards. That's the whole point. Stimulates muscle growth. All right, but when you're not on any drugs, muscle protein synthesis returns to normal, back to homeostasis, where it's balanced. Nothing's growing or shrinking in balance. You're in balance. It returns within 28 to 48 hours after you train. All right? Which means, best case scenario, your muscle's going to grow for 48 hours after you train it. After that, it's done. If you came in and busted your balls training your biceps. You did a bunch of weighted chin-ups, bunch of curls, set PRs on all your lifts. Yeah, you're going to grow from that, but it's only going to be for 2 days at the most, and then they're going to stop growing. They're not going to grow on the 3rd day, the 4th day. They're not going to be growing a week later. They're done. People who use drugs, particularly in a dose-dependent manner, the more drugs you use, the more true this becomes. Pretty simple concept. More steroids equals more muscle growth. Not a difficult concept to understand. Just like with anything else, more alcohol you drink, the drunker you get. The more weed you smoke, the higher you get. Up to a certain threshold. There's obviously diminished returns, just like there is with these drugs. But generally speaking, more drugs, more muscle protein synthesis. Not a hard concept to understand. Well, that's what happens. People who run hefty amounts of drugs, their muscle protein synthesis is elevated. Training doesn't affect it. All right? Now, training can stimulate growth, cause some breakdown and adaptation, but it doesn't affect the synthesis itself, the uptime. The drugs do that at that point. You're relying on drugs for that. Training frequency becomes very unimportant. Very unimportant for gaining muscle. It's not how much workload did you do. Really all that matters. Did the muscle get worked or not? That's all that matters. Frequency matters less. So he's coming in, though, with someone on drugs doing the frequency. But it doesn't matter for him, but does it matter for someone who's drug-free? Does it matter for someone who's a very conservative user? Yeah, frequency starts to matter a whole lot. And you obviously can't come in and train your biceps or your triceps or your pecs or whatever you're trying to train. You can't kill that muscle every day. You're going to overtrain so quickly if you try to do that, that you're going to, within a few weeks, you're going to start regressing. All right, you're going to start regressing. You're going to get overuse injuries, you're going to get inflammation, but can you train them hard every now and then and come in and train them a little lighter? Yeah, yes you can. If you train a muscle a little lighter, does muscle protein synthesis go up? Yes. Training lighter might not stimulate new muscle growth because there's not enough tension there. There's not enough workload. It might not stimulate new growth on its own, but it will disrupt the tissue proteins. It will re-spark some of the muscle growth from a previous workout. And that's what we're talking about there with that concept. It will reinforce your previous training, meaning you reinforce that signal. So let's say you came in and you bench pressed on your best set 315 pounds for 6 reps, all right? Your pecs and triceps are going to grow from that. No doubt about that. But if that's the best you can do, you're pushing near failure, you're not going to be able to come in and bench press heavy again for a while. It could be several days. It could be up to 3 or 4 days again before you could actually bench press 315 for reps again after doing that. If that's like almost like your 6 rep max, you're not going to be able to replicate that in 2 or 3 days. All right, and now if you're doing 315 natural for 6 reps, you're a pretty strong motherfucker. Let's just be honest. That's relatively rare, so I just threw that number out there. But you're not going to be able to come in and do that in 2 days again. So you can't replicate that previous performance. But because that was a fairly intense workload for you, your body still remembers, your muscles remember that signal that it got. So if you come in the next day or 2 days later and you were to do a lighter weight, let's say you came in and you do 275 for 5 reps instead of 315 for 6. Now, if you're not fully recovered from that 315 work set, that peak set you did that day, you probably can't do 315 even for 5, but you could probably do 275 for 5 reps without it really being that difficult. It won't be that hard for you. So it's not really going to affect your recovery in a negative manner, not significantly. But what it will do is re-spark a little bit of muscle protein synthesis, because 275 for 5 is what, approximately 85% of the weight you used before. For a 6 rep max, that is still going to put stress on your muscle tissue. All right, that is still going to disrupt the tissue proteins a little bit, because that's still a relatively heavy weight for the strength level you're at. It's not anywhere near failure. It's not difficult, but it's a moderately heavy weight. It is enough to make the muscles work and for them to know that they did something. All right, 275 for 5 reps, the muscles still know they did something. They're feeling it. What it does, it will disrupt the tissue proteins a little bit. Muscle protein synthesis will re-spark a little bit. Now that set won't simulate new growth because it was easy for you, but it will reinforce the training signal from a day or two before. That's why you see more advanced drug-free lifters are given programs where they have heavy, medium, and light days, sometimes with the same exercises through the week. Right? They might be doing the same lift multiple times a week, but they have days where they cut the weight 20 or 25% lighter than their best days. Why? They're reinforcing the training signal from the heavy day. They're reinforcing it. They're re-sparking the body to remember, oh yeah, we did lift a little heavier again. He's lifted again. We need to reinforce that previous workout. And it will do that. Now you can't come in and, for 2 weeks straight do a lighter workout and reinforce a workout from 2 weeks ago, but you can reinforce a workout from a couple days ago with a lighter weight. Your body will grow off of that. It will actually grow from the lighter workout because it's feeding. And so that's why he's saying a feeder workout. I would say that is a good term to use. I'm not going to argue with that term. Not a bad term. So let's just run with that. But it is basically reinforcing that training signal from the heavy workout. So it's not a bad concept in theory. Now, coming in and doing 100 reps with a really light weight, that's getting silly. All right, there's no reason to think that's useful for muscle growth. But if you did come in and do a much lighter weight than you previously had done yesterday or 2 days ago for a similar muscle group, similar exercise, yeah, it can reinforce that previous hard workout. It can reinforce that training signal without really interfering with your recovery significantly. Could you, in theory, do this several days in a row? Could you, after a heavy bench day, come in 3 or 4 days in a row behind it and do a much lighter bench workout and keep that signal going and keep that muscle protein synthesis elevated for someone who's not on drugs? Yeah, you could. It actually works. It does work, as long as you don't push too hard. Now, you start getting sets close to failure, you start lifting real heavy, it won't work. You will rehammer your recovery a bit. But if you're just trying to reinforce that signal or refeed that signal, get a little blood flow to the muscle, disrupt the tissue proteins just a little bit, yeah, it will work. It can help you make new gains, all right? Because you don't actually have to go 100% all the time. In fact, you really shouldn't go 100% all the time. That is not the best way to make gains. So yeah, you can do lighter workouts like that to reinforce the training of a heavier workout when you have stopped growing from it. Totally viable training method. So why is Rich doing that? I don't know about why he's doing the 100 or 200 reps. He's doing that because he's over the top. He's an entertainer. That's what he does. But is the concept itself actually sound? Yes, it is. It's not a terrible concept as long as you're understanding that you are just using a lighter weight, maybe not doing 100 reps with it, doing 5 reps, doing 10 reps with it. Coming in and doing a lighter weight frequently to reinforce a previous workout. Yeah, it actually works. Not a bad idea. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.